So as we're trying to read between the lines here and figure out who could be the starting quarterback.
I agree with everything he's saying. No question about it, but they can only compete.
Watson just humiliated Shedeur Sanders on live television. Not with his arm, not with practice footage, with one phrase: internal conversations. Reporters asked Watson at his mandatory minicamp press conference, "Did you ever doubt you'd come back as the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback?" Watson said no, and I based that off of internal conversations. Internal conversations. That statement implies Watson had received private organizational signals from someone inside the Cleveland Browns building, a coach, a front office member, or a high-level discussion that pointed toward him being named QB1. The reporters at 92.3 The Fan confirmed the immediate implication. Should we kind of be bracing that Deshaun Watson could be QB1 of this thing, even though we want to see Shedeur? And the response: I think we should be. Here's the full internal conversations context and why Watson's press conference claim functions as the most pointed possible humiliation of Shedeur Sanders heading into training camp. At mandatory minicamp media availability, Watson was asked whether he had ever doubted he'd come back as the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback. Watson said no, and I based that off of internal conversations. Internal conversations. That statement implies Watson had received private organizational signals from someone inside the Cleveland Browns building, a coach, a front office member, or a high-level discussion that pointed toward him being named QB1. The reporters at 92.3 The Fan confirmed the immediate implication. Should we kind of be bracing that Deshaun Watson could be QB1 of this thing, even though we want to see Shedeur? And the response: I think we should be. Internal conversations. Watson said it, on camera, in front of Cleveland's media, implying the organization had told him privately what Monken hasn't confirmed publicly. That is the humiliation of Shedeur's entire minicamp arc, from 83.3% day one to Barry's truly phenomenal, to the Jared Verse throw, potentially nullified by an organizational signal that Watson received before training camp. And here is Hanford Dixon's immediate counterverdict that provides the instant regret. Hanford Dixon is not a media commentator. He is a Cleveland Browns cornerback from 1981 to 1989, two-time Pro Bowler, part of the secondary that helped define the most competitive era in Browns franchise history before Haslam's return. When Hanford Dixon speaks about Browns quarterbacks, people inside the building listen. And he said on the Big Play Cleveland podcast, they can only compete for the AFC North in the division only if Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. No hedging, no balance, no consideration of the internal conversations, just the verdict from the franchise's own defensive legacy confirming the offensive future. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. Hanford Dixon. After the internal conversations claim, after the Hall bat clip, after the media decided Watson was the odds-on favorite. A two-time Pro Bowl cornerback who played for this franchise told the Cleveland fan base, only Shedeur gets them to the AFC North. That is the instant regret for every voice that humiliated Shedeur during OTAs.
You know, Deshaun, we hadn't talked to him in 18 or 19 months since that injury. So somebody asked him during all that rehab and that recovery, did you ever doubt that you'd be able to come back in the NFL? And he said, no doubt. I always knew I'd be back. And then a follow-up question was asked, and it said, he was asked, did you ever doubt that you'd be the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns again? And he said no, and I based that off of internal conversations. So as we're trying to read between the lines here and figure out who could be the starting quarterback, if one of the guys in the competition is saying that I've had internal conversations and that's what's leading me to believe that I'm going to be the starter, should we kind of be bracing that Deshaun Watson could be QB1 of this thing, even though we want to see Shedeur?
I think we should be. I think we should be because when you look at it, that's why I'm laughing over here because no, I don't believe him. I mean, Todd, I think Todd knows who is going to be pretty much who's going to be his quarterback, but I believe him when he says still he want to see him with with the pads on. He want to see him go out and play against some competition, meaning in preseason. But I think he's pretty much know who his guy is going to be at quarterback. That's why I say shit no, Gab.
I think Todd knows. Hanford Dixon doesn't believe the public statement, and the internal conversations Watson referenced may not be what Watson thinks they are. Now here's why the Watson-Houston comparison, confirmed in the same panel, delivers the most devastating possible context for those internal conversations. Here is the Watson-Houston comparison that was raised in the same panel, and why internal conversations about the starting job are a different kind of signal than internal conversations about Watson being ready for pre-2021 Houston performance. Hanford Dixon said on the panel, "Deshaun, guys, we have been looking for the same guy that we thought we were going to get. We talked about the quarterback that he was when he was with Houston, and we just haven't seen that. I like the way he handled himself. He came out and talked to the press. Some of the things he said, I liked what he was saying, but still, with this team and these young wide receivers and this youth movement, I want to see Shedeur get a chance to play with these guys with Todd's offense." And Emery Hunt confirmed from CBS Sports, "At worst, Watson gives you a solid veteran backup right now, but Shedeur Sanders is an ascending talent. We've been looking for the same guy we thought we were going to get, and we just haven't seen that." Hanford Dixon, after 20-plus years watching this franchise, acknowledging that Watson, the internal conversations implied, the Houston days, Warren Moon motion Watson, hasn't shown up in Cleveland. And the internal conversations that Watson referenced were from inside a building where Barry just said truly phenomenal about Shedeur. Those internal conversations may not be what Watson heard them as. And here is the panel nothing to gain from starting Watson, confirmed on the same podcast where Hanford said, "Only if Shedeur is the QB, ain't no ifs, ain't no buts." Two organizational voices, same day, same podcast, both pointing at Shedeur, while Watson's internal conversations claim sat waiting for training camp to resolve.
As this youth movement going on where you've got these young receivers and you traded Myles Garrett away for Jared Verse, and we all know the draft compensation that came on top of Jared Verse, but you got a young team and then you've got a 24-year-old quarterback and a 30-year-old quarterback. If I were Todd Monken, I would start Shedeur Sanders because I don't think there's anything really to gain by starting Deshaun Watson. I get that he's owed that $46 million, and that could be a big reason why they decide to start him week one. But if Shedeur proves that he could be the franchise quarterback, then you got 2 first-round picks in 2027. We all live in Ohio. We're in Cleveland. How fun would Jeremiah Smith look on the Browns next year if you've already got that quarterback situation solved? I get that Shedeur has been a roller coaster, and you said it, Chris.
Jeremiah Smith in 2027, if you've already solved the QB. 2 first-round picks, AFC North contention, and Watson's internal conversations are the only things standing between Shedeur and the decision that the organizational math, the Garrett trade, the 2027 picks, the youth movement has already made. Now here's the Taylon Green, "we made people mad in the draft" detail, and why it confirms the organizational plan extends far beyond the 2026 QB competition. Here is the Taylon Green organizational signal that confirms the Cleveland Browns are operating from a multi-year plan that has Shedeur at the center, not a single Watson internal conversation. Hanford Dixon said about the 4th quarterback on the depth chart, "Are you guys talking about this kid that we got in the 5th round, Taylon Green? The kid is 6'6", 235 pounds. When I came out of the University of Southern Mississippi, I was pretty fast. I ran a 4.340. This damn kid runs a 4.340. I'm just so happy that we got this kid. I guarantee you, we made a lot of people in the draft mad when we drafted him because they wanted him. That is Hanford Dixon, a former NFL player, expressing the same excitement about a developmental quarterback prospect that the organizational plan requires. If Watson's internal conversations were genuinely a signal that the organization had chosen him as their 2026 franchise answer, the Browns would not have drafted a 6'6" developmental QB in the 5th round. They drafted Talon Green because the plan goes beyond 2026. Watson's internal conversations equals private signal from inside the building that he'll be QB1. The organizational moves that contradict it: Myles Garrett traded for 2027 draft capital. Talon Green was drafted as a developmental prospect. Shedeur's commercial empire growing to $20 million. Barry said truly phenomenal after minicamp. None of those moves are consistent with an organization that has privately committed to a $46 million bridge year as their endgame. The instant regret is Watson's internal conversations claim existing in a building that's accumulating ammunition for the opposite conclusion.
And here is the Hanford Dixon since 1999 frame that gives the ain't no ifs, ain't no buts verdict the deepest historical weight. Hanford said, "For the first time in a long time, I am really excited about this football team." And then he said, they can only compete for the AFC North if Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. That's the verdict. A man who played for the Cleveland Browns before the Haslam era, before the 1999 return, before 30-plus starting quarterbacks, before every internal conversation that led to a franchise QB decision that turned out wrong. And he looked at the 2026 Browns and said, for the first time in a long time, I am really excited about this football team, and then confirmed the condition: Shedeur. That is the instant regret for every voice that humiliated Shedeur's OTA performance. Here is the ex-NFL scout's instant regret in its most complete form. Every dismissive narrative about Shedeur's OTAs, the Hall bat clip, the inaccuracies, the inconsistent analysis, Watson's internal conversations implying organizational backing, triggered by one response from the franchise's own legacy: Hanford Dixon, 1981 to 1989. 2 Pro Bowls, more context about Cleveland quarterbacks than anyone on any panel currently covering OTAs. Only if Shedeur, ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. Here is the complete instant regret picture. Watson press conference, internal conversations implied private org signal he'd be QB1. The humiliation, suggestion that Shedeur's entire minicamp performance can be overridden by a private conversation Watson had. The instant regret, Hanford, Cleveland legend, said only if Shedeur is the QB. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. Panel, nothing to gain from starting Watson. 2 first-round picks 2027. Jeremiah Smith in Cleveland. Hanford, I think Todd knows who it's going to be. I don't believe him when he says he doesn't know. Talon Green, drafted at 6 feet, 4.34 speed, equals developmental prospect for the plan beyond 2026. Watson hasn't been healthy since September 2023 by his own admission. Emory Hunt, at worst, Watson is a solid veteran backup. This is Shedeur's team. Hanford Dixon, for the first time in a long time, I am really excited about this football team. Only if Shedeur. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts.
For the first time in a long time, I'm really excited. Hanford Dixon, after every OTA dismissal, after every Watson internal conversations claim, after every humiliation of Shedeur's practice moments. Only if Shedeur. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. That is the instant regret. The ex-NFL scout is experiencing instant regret because Watson's "I based that off of internal conversations" was the implicit humiliation of Shedeur's entire minicamp arc. And Hanford Dixon, Cleveland Browns cornerback, 1981 to 1989, responded with, they can only compete for the AFC North, only if Shedeur Sanders is the quarterback. Ain't no ifs, ain't no buts. The panel confirmed, nothing to gain from starting Watson. 2 first-round picks 2027 and Jeremiah Smith in Cleveland. Hanford confirmed, I think Todd knows who it's going to be. I don't believe him when he says he doesn't.
Taylon Green, drafted at 6'6" and 4.34 speed, equals developmental plan extending beyond 2026. Myles Garrett, traded for 2027 capital, equals organizational signal already made. And Emory Hunt, CBS Sports, confirmed this is still Shedeur Sanders' team. The internal conversations Watson referenced are living in a building that's pointing at Shedeur. That's the instant regret. Drop a comment. Does Watson's internal conversations claim or Hanford Dixon's ain't no ifs, ain't no buts better predict who will be the Cleveland Browns QB1 in Week 1?